Ah, 1 second. First of all, good evening, everyone. I don't want to take a whole lot of time, so I'm going to jump right on into this. I hope that everybody enjoyed this beautiful day today. And as we wrap up our evening, I wanted to come on a little earlier so that I could do what I'm about to do now. For some of you, you may have heard bits and pieces of what we're going to cover tonight. And that information that you've heard already is kind of scattered throughout various videos. With that in mind, there's been a few individuals that I've heard from, and apparently there's still some confusion. Someone just texted me who's online now. Um, okay, so first of all, thank you for the text. Um, but apparently, there's still some confusion pertaining to how um, certain people have risen in the organization. So I had put together a video talking about this and showing a little bit of that information. The surprise tonight is that I'm going to walk you through the entire thing, and I'm going to try my best to make it as simplified as I can so that even our children will understand what happened. So by the time I get done with this video, all of you should know exactly what took place over the last 19 years in order for the organization to arrive at the place where we are right now. So, with that in mind, let me go ahead and jump right in. We're going to start with this form. This form is the program for the General Assembly of 2008. For the General Assembly of 2008, we see this was on May 23rd, 2008. The presiding officer is the senior minister, Mr. C.M. Bailey. Okay. And if you look down under order of business and look under roll call, you'll see the General Assembly Secretary is Mr. Cunningham. Okay. So we're going to start here. 2008, Mr. Cunningham was the General Assembly Secretary. But let me show you something else. Right here, again, so that you see. Wait, doing it again. 1 second. Okay. You can see that Mr. Cunningham was made the General Assembly Secretary back in 2006. So it says he was a member of the General Council of the Church, holding various positions of responsibility, including the position of head judge. He was a member of the church's National Return Committee, whose focus was primarily on the youth. A member of, remember this, the 2022 Constitutional Review Committee. We're going to come back to that because this is also in writing in other places. And since 2006, he held the position of Secretary of the church's General Assembly. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm verifying everything so that you all understand what it is that we're looking at. Okay. So since 2006, Mr. Cunningham was the General Assembly Secretary. This is 2026. That was 19 years ago. 19 years ago. So 2008, he's in the General Assembly as the General Assembly Secretary, and the senior minister is Apostle C.M. Bailey. Now, in 2008, we had an election. And this says that the election is going to be held while using Robert's Rules of Order. Okay? Now, it's important for everybody to understand that when you make the point of letting it be known that you're going to be utilizing Robert's Rules of Order, that every single thing in that meeting must be in compliance with Robert's Rules of Order. Now, we're going to come back to that again in another video. However, we've already covered in other videos that Robert's Rules of Order allows for everybody to be heard and every motion to go to a vote. That's the rules in Robert's Rules of Order. Now, it seems that whenever it's beneficial for certain people, there's referrals made to different rules, parliamentary procedure, so on and so forth. It seems that when it's going to benefit certain people, then they refer to the books, they refer to the laws, they refer to the regulations, they refer to the Constitution, they refer to even parliamentary procedure. But when it's not going to benefit them, they don't refer to them at all. Okay? With that in mind, rule number 1 in the election of the bishop for the use in the General Assembly of May 23rd, 2008, all proceedings shall be conducted in conformance with the Constitution and bylaws, the supreme laws for the government of the United House of Prayer, the Holy Bible, and long established rules of the church. Now, it goes on, the first paragraph, so that you all can see it. You can freeze frame if you want, so that you can go back to it or take a picture. Okay. Now, this shows again the election in 2008. Mr. Cunningham was currently the General Assembly Secretary. Keep in mind, the General Assembly Secretary, the individual who's supposed to oversee and conduct the General Assembly. They act as a type of chairman of the board. The General Assembly acts as a type of board of directors for our organization. So, Mr. Cunningham would have been acting as the chairman of the board of directors for the United House of Prayer for All People. It's important for us to understand that because, as the General Assembly secretary, his role and responsibility is to ensure that the meeting is conducted according to Robert's Rules of Order, and it follows the rules and regulations as set forth in the Constitution. That's his role. However, in that General Assembly, he oversaw an election where the senior minister at the time, Mr. Bailey, would be put into position to become the bishop. Okay. The following year, 2009, we see these are the rules. (2009) session. Okay, these are the rules. And you notice here, H. If you look at H, H says a person who has litigation against the House of Prayer or bishop cannot qualify as a representative except he or she has been before the bishop and asked for forgiveness. Now, we all need to understand as well. The rule is if anybody has had litigation against the House of Prayer or the bishop, they're automatically disqualified from being nominated as a delegate. Unless they've gone before the bishop and asked for forgiveness. Now, I'm going to give you something to think about. In this country, we have laws that says anybody being accused of a crime, they are assumed to be innocent until proven guilty. Here in the House of Prayer, we actually have a law that says anybody that has litigation against the bishop or the House of Prayer, you're immediately, automatically disqualified from being a delegate to go to the most important meeting of the organization where you discuss the laws within the Constitution. The problem with that is the members have not stopped to consider why is it that a member that has litigation against the bishop or the organization, why are they automatically disqualified? There's nothing that allows for the person to be heard by the members of the organization. There's nothing that says that they will be allowed to come forward and speak into the ears of the members so that the members hear the details of their situation or their case. In other words, why is it nothing saying that the bishop should provide evidence that he has not wronged the person who's taking him to court? We now have evidence that says that people have been wronged by our bishops. There's evidence and there's court documents that says that bishops have lost cases when people took them to court. So if the bishop is in the wrong and has done things outside of the boundaries of the law to offend, to violate people's rights, or to do something that breaks the law to certain individuals, and they cannot come forward within the organization and be heard, why is it that we stand by a made up law by the bishops? The people didn't make this law. Why do we stand by a law that says if you or anybody else has litigation against the bishops or the house of prayer, they're automatically disqualified from becoming a delegate? That in itself should be a red flag that something is wrong somewhere. So we're going to continue, but I want you to think about these things as we go through the documents and the paperwork to show you how people rise in the organization. Okay. So again, if a person has litigation, except they go and ask for forgiveness, they cannot be a delegate. But there's nothing that says that the bishop is to seek the forgiveness of the individuals that they've wronged. And we have case after case after case of several individuals that the paperwork bishops mistreated people, that bishops violated people's rights, and that bishops have overseen laws being broken that ended up hurting people. Okay, so with this in mind, in case we have a connection issue, anybody, just for those of you who are watching, text me and let me know so I can restart. I don't know what's going on whenever we do this. Sometimes it looks like people are doing something to interfere with the connections so that we cannot put forth the information that we're broadcasting. Anyway, let's go forward. 2009 session. 2009, in the General Assembly. Now, Mr. Bailey, as you see here, he is bishop. And if you look down here, Mr. Cunningham is General Assembly Secretary. Okay. Now, in this General Assembly, we see now Mr. Bailey work along with Mr. Cunningham and others to change the Constitution. The Constitution does not allow anybody to change it except the members of the organization. And let's show you how this went down in the General Assembly. If you look here at D, right here, it says on the agenda, the order of business says revision and updating of the Constitution and bylaws. And then it says pursuant to the recommendation by U.S. District Court and General Assembly of 1962 to update our Constitution and bylaws periodically as needed. Now, that may be the case, but that was in 1962. So the first thing that I want you all to understand is the people, it seems like, are being redirected away from what's actually going on. It gives the impression that you were given a recommendation by the U.S. District Court to update the Constitution. Even if that's the case, the Constitution does not allow for anybody to change it. The members have to do that. I'm going to show you in the 2009 General Assembly. See the date. May 22nd, 2009, Constitution Revision Committee. Okay, I'm going to read it to you. The Constitutional Revision Committee of the General Assembly of 2009 submits the following report. This committee consists of the following members appointed by our presiding officer and chief executive officer, Bishop C.M. Bailey. Not by the General Assembly. The General Assembly did not put this group of people together. The General Assembly had nothing to do with this Constitutional Revision Committee. This was a small group of people handpicked and appointed. Let's continue. It says Apostle W.E. Howe as chairman, Apostle Wynn, Apostle A.D. Cunningham, Apostle S. Green, and Attorney Deneen Banks. Okay. 2009 Constitutional Revision Committee. Mr. Howe, Mr. Wynn down in South Carolina, Mr. Cunningham, who was the General Assembly Secretary, is also on the Constitutional Revision Committee, and the attorney, Deneen Banks, with Mr. Sterling Green. Now, this committee, listen to what happened. Around April 1962, Mr. McCullough updated our Constitution and bylaws to meet the standards of that time. Mr. McCullough's constitutional review and update was consistent with the advice given him from the U.S. Court that the Constitution and bylaws be reviewed from time to time. That does not mean you can change it. It doesn't mean that you have the authority to change it, to fix it, to amend it, to do anything to it. It only means it has to be reviewed so that the people who has the authority to change it, if need be, they can review it and compare it to the laws of the land of that specific time period. If there's anything that needs to be updated, then the General Assembly's responsibility is to go ahead and update it. But they have to do that, not the leader of the organization, because he does not have that authority. Let's continue, which goes to show us in 1962, the same thing was done. So I'm trying to get you all to understand that the members of the organization has not known that the Constitution was constantly being changed without any input coming from the members. That's what the paperwork looks like. Once again, you're going to hear me keep saying that because the outside authorities will be the ones to determine what actually happened. But what we're looking at, what I see, it very much looks like the Constitution has been changed over and over and over and over again without the people's knowledge. Except now we're talking about an individual who rose through the ranks to sit in the seat today by keeping these secrets and working behind the backs of the members, behind closed doors, along with a select group of people to change the Constitution. And I'm going to show you with the documents what happened. Okay. It says, furthermore, this present review of the Constitution and bylaws, in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, was assigned to this present Constitutional Revision Committee, appointed by the authority of the presiding officer of the General Assembly, Mr. Bailey, on January 13th, 2009. But once again, this is redirection because there was no authority given to the bishop by outside sources. The court of the land cannot give a bishop the authority to change a constitution that does not give him that authority. The outside law of the land, the court, would have told him to review it. His responsibility was to bring it back to the General Assembly so that the General Assembly can review it. And that's all that should have happened. Instead, they're using this to make the members of the organization think that he had the authority to put together this committee and that they had the authority to make suggestions and recommendations. And then the General Assembly Secretary, Mr. A.D. Cunningham, had the authority to present it in the General Assembly without these things going through the congregations for the members to vote on it. And I'm going to show you that that has been consistent over the years. That paperwork has been put in front of the members at the General Assembly that bypassed every single congregation, and the members did not have any opportunity to read these so-called proposals, to discuss them, to determine whether or not they wanted to approve it or reject. Secretary, Mr. A.D. Cunningham, 2009, kept this, and he was responsible for pushing it forward inside of the General Assembly. And I'm going to show you that as well. Okay. It says, this present Constitutional Revision Committee focused only on those revisions of our Constitution immediately needed for the purpose as described in our supreme laws to protect the work of this organization, which is another, I'm not going to call it a lie. I'm going to say the paperwork looks like it's not true. Inside of the supreme laws, here we are. Inside of the supreme laws, no, I'm going to come back to that. Inside of the supreme laws, what you all need to understand as members is that the people had no say-so over anything in the supreme laws of the organization. That was put together by the bishops for the people to follow without question. Inside the auxiliary bylaws, that was also put together by the bishops for the people to follow without question. Also, you have the Are You Aware? That thick manual with all these rules that also was put together by the bishops without the people's involvement whatsoever. So we have now 3 books that have laws, rules, and regulations for the members to follow that the members never agreed to, that the members never had any say-so in, that the members never had the opportunity to vote on, that the members never even discussed, that the members didn't even say whether or not they wanted any of these rules. So how did that come to be? That all falls in line with what I'm showing you tonight. Let's go further. In 2009, it says here, therefore, this committee recommends that the present Constitution and bylaws of the United House of Prayer, as last amended in 2002, continue in full force and effect, with the exception of the following revisions. I see a notice, and again, it looks like there might be some connection issues. You all let me know. And now it touches on the revisions that was made to the Constitution. Now, in 2009, this is the book. At the back of the book, making sure that there's no problems. In the back of the book, we see Mr. Bailey's name, and Mr. Cunningham, that they signed on the date here as revised and approved by the General Assembly, May 22nd, 2009. The problem is it's the same date in the front of the book, right here. I'll pause here so you can see it. May 22nd, 2009. And these are the changes at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 changes that the members had nothing to do with. And you see, May 2009 at the bottom. That means this book was already printed. While they're sitting in the meeting and the people are there in the General Assembly, the Constitution Revision Committee, they already knew. Apostle Howe, Mr. Howe knew, Apostle Wynn, Deneen Banks, Apostle Cunningham, Mr. Bailey, all of them knew, and Apostle Green knew that they had already changed this Constitution. They knew that. They knew it. And the Constitution was waiting to be put on sale for people to purchase it. The only thing Mr. Cunningham had to do as the General Assembly Secretary was to see to it. The only thing Mr. Cunningham had to do as the General Assembly Secretary was to see to it that these proposals through. And so what you see in 2009, here we are, is the bottom, revision and updating of the Constitution. Okay? The problem with that is they weren't supposed to change the Constitution. If anything, if you're going to do anything, a Constitution Revision Committee is supposed to make recommendations, sure. Send it to the General Assembly Secretary, sure. Send that throughout the organization for all the members to hear, read, talk about it, and vote on one proposal at a time. One at a time, you vote. 3 of them don't like, reject. 2 of them we like. Send them on to the General Assembly for the people to talk about them there. But that never happened. And I'm going to show you the same thing happened over the next few constitutions. Okay? So I'm going to try to make this quick because we are in the middle of the week. Now, this Constitution, once again, the members had no say-so in. So, okay. Again, I'm going to talk a little slower because it says that we're breaking up from time to time. So, again, the members didn't have anything to do with this. This was already printed up, this Constitution, and it was given to the organization to enforce it. While Mr. Bailey, Mr. Green, Mr. Howe, Mr. Wynn, Apostle Howe, Apostle Wynn, Mr. Cunningham, Miss Deneen Banks, all of those individuals knew that this right here is fraudulent. But that was the secret they had to sit on. Nobody said a word. Okay. May 2022. Okay. May 2022. Mr. Bailey, look at the General Assembly Secretary. Okay. Mr. Cunningham. Under roll call, you see Apostle A.D. Cunningham, General Assembly Secretary. And what do you see on here? On D. D. It's already on here. Amendments to the Constitution and bylaws of the United House of Prayer. Not proposals, amendments. Not proposals. And we're going to hear about this in a minute. So here I have minutes of the 2022 General Assembly. And the person that wrote these minutes, Apostle Cunningham, in 2022, was not only the General Assembly Secretary, but by that time, he's now the senior minister. By that time, he's also the head judge on the General Counsel. He's serving in the seats that hold the most authority, the most power in the organization. That, we've said before, is a conflict of interest. That too will be determined by outside authorities to share with us whether or not that's legal. But we've seen this going on all the time while the members had no clue what's happening. Now, pay attention. Roll call. Okay. 2022. It says, Mr. Bailey spoke about the proposed amendments, stating that every so many years there should be a review to ensure we are in line with state and federal guidelines. Why? Here, let me let you read it. Right here. Okay. I'm going to read that out loud. He spoke about the proposed amendments, stating that every so many years, there should be a review to ensure we are in line with state and federal guidelines and or to make improvements. Now, that doesn't sound like the other piece of paperwork where it was said that the district court sent a notification for you to review it. So already the information is not consistent, which leads one to believe people are not being 100% truthful. Okay. Now, we've already established that there's documents filed with different government agencies where the leaders have filed information that's not accurate. We've already shown this, but here I'm showing you how Mr. Cunningham rose through the ranks. Here it says, uh, also, Mr. Bailey stated that 8 to 9 months ago, a group of 4 people made selections for review. They are the head judge of the United House of Prayer, head judge, conflict of interest, head judge who's also on the Constitution Revision Committee. The problem with that is the head judge is a judge on the General Counsel. You're supposed to know that nobody can touch or change the Constitution of the United House of Prayer for All People. And yet your hand is involved. You are not supposed to touch anything in the Constitution, let alone be sitting in a group of people who's been appointed in order to change quietly the Constitution behind the people's back without anybody knowing, let alone to also go along with the idea simply because it's the CEO who's asking you to do that. The fact that you are the judge on council, 1. 2, the head judge on council. 3, the senior minister of the organization. 4, you were the General Assembly secretary while being asked by the CEO, who happens to be the bishop, who's asking you to do something that goes against not only the laws of the organization, but he's asking you to have a hand in something that's not legal according to the laws of the land. But here we are. Mr. Cunningham, look at who else? 2022. New England chairman, Postal Jones. Mr. Jones was also on the committee working side by side with Mr. Cunningham to change the laws of the organization in the Constitution. Of New York Mother House, attorney Sister Mickey Bailey, the daughter of Mr. Bailey, happens to be attorney. You know you should know better, but you're sitting on a committee preparing to do things that the law says you can't do, along with Judge Cuthbert of Savannah, Georgia. You know good and doggone well you ought to know better. Your job is to pass judgment on other people who break the law. Mr. Cunningham, your job is to pass judgment on other people in the organization who breaks the laws of the organization as a judge on the council. Mr. Bailey knew better because his job was to sit over everybody and make the claim that his decision is final while also passing judgment on everybody in the organization for breaking the rules of the organization. Sounds like we got a lot of people breaking the rules, but don't want nobody to know they're breaking the rules while passing judgment on other people and giving them penalties for breaking the rules. Let's continue. Now, while Mr. Cunningham did this, it says Miss Bailey read the proposed changes. Now, we have Mr. Sudler, pastor of Dallas, Texas, approached the microphone and stated his title, name, and house. Okay, so that you all see, we're not making this stuff up. Okay, Apostle Sudler approached the mic. He said that no one had the nerve to speak up about pastors not having brought up these points and explaining the proposals before today. He said that he had a meeting with the House, but many did not. Now, the problem here is you're not supposed to have a meeting with the House. You're supposed to meet while reading through these proposals, recommendations, and allowing the members to discuss them one proposal at a time. Now, we're going to get to this in a moment. Now, Mr. Bailey asked him about his meeting, and he said that some of his new members did not understand everything. Mr. Bailey said to the apostle that he could not speak for other houses. Mr. Sudler took his seat. Mr. Bailey stated that these proposals were not to be taken lightly. He said that every pastor was to have already had a meeting with their congregation because every member should be part of this process. And this is true. Every member is supposed to be a part of the process because the proposal is supposed to go throughout the entire organization for every congregation to discuss them and then vote on each one at a time. And then the results are supposed to be sent back to Washington. And then the General Assembly Secretary and staff is supposed to see the results of how the people voted. And for the ones that the people said, no, we don't want this, rejected, the General Assembly Secretary and the staff are supposed to not allow it to go to the General Assembly at all. But pay attention. Mr. Bailey said that every pastor who did not do this and allow the members to be a part of this process is in jeopardy. Then the pastor from New Haven, Connecticut, approached the microphone explaining that he did not have a meeting, but had spoken to his chairman beforehand. Mr. Bailey said that this will not be tolerated. Then Mr. Bailey asked if there was anyone else who did not do what they were supposed to do. Several voices answered saying no. He also said, my members would tell me, and many voices said yes. But it was obvious that there were some individuals there who were saying that they had not had meetings at that very point. If there's one pastor who said they did not meet with the congregation, right there, Mr. Cunningham's responsibility was to stop it. Do not allow these proposals to go any further because already it is obvious that they're outside of the protocols. But Mr. Cunningham could not do that because Mr. Cunningham knew that they had already changed the Constitution. Mr. Cunningham knew that the Constitution was sitting on his side waiting to be sold. Look at what happened. Then Mr. Cunningham suggested no other pastors come up about that matter for time's sake. Really? You're going to stop the discussion knowing that the Constitution, you're amending it with 46 changes, and you're telling people to not talk about it no more, to not bring it to the attention of the rest of the members that y'all didn't know about this? You are going to put on the floor for the people to vote one time on 46 changes to the Constitution that they never discussed, they never deliberated, they never talked about, they never had the permission or the allowance for the members to vote on them. You're getting ready to do what you were supposed to do behind closed doors. Push it through anyway. And as the General Assembly Secretary, Mr. Cunningham allowed the vote to be taken on 46 changes to the Constitution. Watch carefully. After comparing the packet to the Constitution. The following changes were made. 46 changes, plus the order of precedence in the beginning, bringing the changes to 49. Now, if you have one change without the people's consent, it is null and void. You've now changed the Constitution without the people. It is null and void. It is unlawful. This has 46 changes, and these are the list of changes right here. All those changes were made to the Constitution, and the people had no idea what those changes were. The people had no idea what those changes were about. The people had no idea that what Mr. Cunningham was doing was making as many suggestions and recommendations in that meeting without Mr. Jones, Miss Mickey Bailey, Mr. Cuthbert, and Mr. Bailey. Mr. Cunningham knew that those four people did not know that he's going to be in that seat. And all these changes are going to end up in the next Constitution. And every one of these changes is going to help the next man stay inside that seat, even if he gets caught breaking all kinds of laws. The changes that were recommended in 2022 was to make sure that the General Counsel and the General Assembly Secretary underneath of that next man and anybody else would be working hand in hand to protect that man sitting in that chair, even if he's caught breaking the laws and supposed to be removed from position. By the time these changes go into effect, everybody can do whatever they want. He knew he got protection in the Constitution to keep him in that chair, no matter what anybody says or does. Even if he gets caught breaking the laws of the faith, of the organization, even the laws of the land, if nobody does anything about it and try to bring it forward, even if they complain, the General Counsel and the General Assembly Secretary, along with the senior minister, if there's a trial, they can do everything they got to do to keep him in the seat, to keep him from being removed as the bishop. Now, this is the book, 2022. And we see, once again, show you again the date. Revised and approved. And the signatures. It says, as revised and approved by the General Assembly, May 27, 2022. That is a lie. And I told Mr. Cunningham the next year. I showed him, Mr. Cunningham, that date right there, this is a lie. Because the people did not revise, and they did not approve of the changes in this book. How do we know that the people did not do this? The people had nothing to do with this because the date in the back of the book is May 27th, 2022. May 27th, 2022 is the date that they had the General Assembly. And when you look at the cover has May 2022. May 27th is the end of May. That means in the month of May, these books were already printed up. The month of May 2022, these books were already in circulation. The month of May 2022, Mr. Bailey, who signed at the back, and Mr. Cunningham, who signed at the back of this next Constitution, the same way he did under the previous Constitution in 2009, he signed another lie, saying that I know for a fact that the people revised and approved of the amendments inside this Constitution. But he knew it was a lie. He knew the members did not know. He knew that the people did not have a clue. He knew that the organization was not in the knowledge of the fact that they're being deceived, that they're being tricked, and they're being conned into accepting a law book for them to abide by that takes more and more power from the people and gives more power to the bishop. And he knew that they're going to take this book and put it into the systems of the governments of the land so that the land would enforce this book, because he would be able to now say that the people voted for this. The people revised this. The people amended the Constitution. And they say that I have the final say. The people said. Now, mind you, 2022, he's still the General Assembly Secretary. But he knows this is going to be here when he puts himself in that seat. Let's move on to show you how he continued working on the Constitution. Okay, in 2022, what do we see in the beginning? Let's go back. The highlighted date, look at that. It has 2009. Why? Because they didn't have a count. They couldn't give you the results of the vote that was taken in 2022 yet, because they didn't know the votes of the people in 2022. So it was left out of this book, but it was put inside 2023. So 2023, we have the next General Assembly. Okay? And that's going to be held May 26, 2023. And if you see, Mr. Bailey's still the bishop, and Mr. Cunningham is the General Assembly Secretary. Nope, wrong one, right here. Mr. Bailey is still the bishop. And Mr. Cunningham is the General Assembly Secretary. Okay? Now, this was May 26, 2023. Now, you see the order of business. It has nothing. There's nothing. It says there's going to be roll call, They're going to have minutes, which they're going to waive the election of the secretary and then benediction. So there was nothing in that meeting at all except one thing. They had prepared and planned on singing an anniversary song to Mr. Bailey for 15 years of leadership. Now, I was in the General Assembly with my wife. We were delegates that year. Now, I'm going to read you what was said. Now, here, look at this paragraph right there. Okay? I'm going to read it. An apostle made a motion for the 2022 General Assembly minutes to be waived. Mr. Bailey corrected the apostle, stating that the motion should be to waive the 22 General Assembly minutes except for the opening and the closing. Now, why would you correct them? This shows that this is the norm. No, don't say you want to waive the minutes. Say you're going to waive it except for the opening and the closing. That's what they normally do every single year. They never read the minutes to the people. Let me tell you why. They know if they read the minutes to the people are going to have questions. And they try to get the people in, wait for him to arrive. He come in, hurry up and get out. That way now a whole year has to go by before y'all get to come to another General Assembly where real business can be discussed about the governing of this organization. Because there has been no governing of this organization according to what's in writing. But again, we're waiting for outside authorities to come and determine that that is the fact. That's the case. Let's continue. The apostle made the correction. Another apostle seconded the motion. The majority agreed, and one person opposed the waiving of the minutes. The brother who opposed was asked to stand and state his objection. He wanted to hear the portion of the minutes surrounding the proposals for 2022. I want to know what those minutes said that happened last year. How is it that we, the organization, had 46 amendments slide through the General Assembly that the people didn't know nothing about? That was my question, because I didn't know nothing about it. And I know for a fact that we brought it up in our house meeting where I was attending. And I told our pastor in Mooresville, Elder Forney, that there are no proposals. And he and the secretary there, Shalandra, name is tip of my tongue, but neither of them said anything at all about these proposals, nothing whatsoever. I stated that if we had proposals, we would be talking about them because we're supposed to be the ones voting on them to determine whether or not they should go to the General Assembly. Now, 2022, I was an alternate. I was not a delegate. I'm sorry, my wife and Sister Kelly, they were delegates of Mooresville. So they went. The next year, I was an alternate and I went, and my wife was delegate again. So it shows that we were faithful, because you have to be faithful. We were qualified to be delegates. There was nothing wrong. So now I want to know what the minutes said last year. I want the minutes read. He wanted to hear the minutes surrounding the proposals from 2022. Apostle Cunningham stated at that time that there were no proposals in 2022. It's in the minutes. People heard him say there were no proposals of 2022. Boom. Wait a minute. How is it that the senior minister, general council member, judge on general council, head judge on general council, General Assembly secretary, Constitution Review Committee member, how is it that you said that there's no proposals from last year when the whole organization is under a brand new constitution that had 46 to 49 changes? But you said there was no proposals. This is your evidence, people, that he knew that they had changed the Constitution without the members' approval, without the members' consent, without the members' knowledge. But in the back, he signed it, and that the General Assembly revised and approved it because he signed 2009's too. Another lie that he knew. We have 2 booklets with his signature where he knew that he was lying to the entire organization to deceive them into believing that the members in the General Assembly changed our Constitution, knowing full well that they had nothing to do with it because the constitutions were already printed up before they even got there to the meeting. And it had all the changes already in the book. So we now know twice that Mr. A.D. Cunningham lied to the entire organization. And if you're going to get technical, to the government as well. Because these books go out, and these books are put into the hands of government officials so that they understand that we have a constitution that we utilize to govern this organization. And it's those governing agencies that's going to assist the organization by enforcing the laws and the rules inside the Constitution, since this is what the governing bodies outside are being given that the people in the organization have agreed to. The problem is Mr. Cunningham knew that the people never agreed to this, but yet he continued on council as a judge, holding people accountable to illegal laws. You continued to hold people accountable to laws, rules, and regulations that you knew were fraudulent, that you knew the people had nothing to do with, that you knew you kept from the people's knowledge. You knew what you were doing. Miss Mickey Bailey knew what she was doing. Mr. Cuthbert knew what he was doing. Mr. Jimmy Jones knew what he was doing. And Mr. Bailey certainly knew what he was doing. Therefore, when I brought it up in 2023, Mr. Cunningham came forward. No. There were no proposals last year to block me from hearing the minutes from last year. He went on to say that the minutes have already been read, but I wasn't there to hear it. Another block. The problem with that is the delegates that go to the General Assembly are not required to be there the night before to hear anything inside of General Council. The members of the General Assembly are not required to be there until the morning of the General Assembly. And if you ask and put a motion on the floor to waive the reading of the minutes, you're now giving the option to the people who are present in that meeting of saying whether or not they want to hear the minutes or no. And if one person says that they would like to hear the minutes, then by the laws the rules of Robert's Rules of Order, you're supposed to allow that member to hear the minutes. But they had to keep that from happening, or else the entire organization would have known at that time that every single one of us had been taken for fools. that we've been duped, that we've been tricked, that we've been lied to and deceived and manipulated. And we've been conned into accepting another fraudulent constitution, just like this one, just like the one before that, just like the one before that, and the one before that. The difference this time is on the day of that General Assembly, Mr. Cunningham knew that they had another constitution already printed up. That constitution was 2023. He knew that that constitution was waiting up in the front, because this constitution now has the numbers of the people who voted last year. And look at all the changes that was made in the Constitution of 2022. And Mr. Cunningham sat on it and kept it a secret. Every single one of those numbers and letters is one change in the Constitution. Now, the problem is, when you look at this, you don't know the changes that's made. All of these changes take power from the members and give that same power to the bishop, to the general council, or the General Assembly secretary. They even took, Mr. Cunningham oversaw that some of the powers that was taken from the people was also given to the senior minister, because he knew in the back of his mind, once again, that this book is going to be in full force and effect to defend him the day that he is now sitting inside the seat as the CEO. So this 2023, look whose name is in the back. Once again, we see Mr. Bailey and Mr. Cunningham. 2009, 2022, 2023. 3 constitutions that Mr. Cunningham knows full well that are not valid. He knows they're fraudulent. He knows that they were doctored. And he knows that they were printed up to deceive the entire organization into believing that the members voted for these changes, knowing that the people had nothing whatsoever to do with any of this. But Mr. Cunningham was not yet through. Let me show you some more. Now, these were my minutes. And I'm not going to take the time to go through my minutes. Instead, I'm going to read you what happened after we went back and concluded what took place in May of 2023. I went back to prepare to bring all this information forward before the General Assembly of 2024. I went and wrote front and back so that the members would understand what happened and why it's important for you to understand. And in here, 9 pages of information, I explained in full detail why the Constitution is null and void, why it's unlawful. I explain how Mr. Bailey had a hand, Mr. Cunningham had a hand, Mr. Jimmy Jones had a hand, Mr. Cuthbert and Miss Mickey Bailey had a hand in defrauding the entire organization. I show all of that in here. And at the end of this, I wrote a proposal for 2024 General Assembly, and I sent it to Washington, D.C. Now, at the time, Mr. Bailey had deceased. And I knew that the head judge on council, the General Assembly secretary, the senior minister was going to orchestrate and pull all the strings that was necessary to put himself in that seat. I knew it was coming. So I started writing letters. I started contacting people, letting them know what's coming up. And if this happens, this organization is in a world of trouble. Because the same man who's about to put himself in the seat, that same man knew that he had now orchestrated the most damaging constitution that the House of Prayer has ever had in its history. This is the absolute worst constitution that the House of Prayer has ever had. And he knew that he was the one behind it who made all the changes to protect him, because he knew what he was going to be doing as he put himself in the seat. So I wrote this proposal. And then, because he made it through the election by taking the power and the authority as the senior minister, he ordered all the pastors to have another election and nominate new delegates to the special General Assembly that was held October 13th, 2023. And the reason why he had the pastors get new delegates is because he knew that I was a delegate that year. My wife was a delegate that year. He knew that people that was there in May saw what happened with me trying to bring these things forward that year in May. When they didn't read the minutes, I brought it up again later on in the General Assembly. And I showed Mr. Cunningham the law in 23. He got back on the floor and lied after lie, after lie, after lie, after lie. And he had Mr. Perry beside him, who also, after he whispered in his ear, the whole General Assembly saw Mr. Perry also lie after lie, after lie, after lie, while I sat behind both of them, about 5 pews from the front, sitting right next to the aisle, because I knew I wanted to look Mr. Bailey right in his eyes. And while they're up there answering a question, whenever they said no, that's what I did, hard as I could, and so everybody could see me. Whenever they said yes to the question, I said, nope, nope, Mr. Bailey was trying to hold his laughter in because he could see me, but they couldn't. They're facing him. And people around was laughing while I'm pointing out that these two men are lying through their teeth. That whole section over by the piano in 6th and Elm Street, they heard my conversation with Mr. Cunningham and Mr. Perry. They knew that I pointed out to him the lies of the Constitution. And they knew that I pointed out to them that he was the one, as senior minister, along with the bishop, who lied to cover it up. I said, this is y'all's doing. Y'all manipulating the organization. He had to cover it up because if that information came forward, then this whole thing would have been blown up. It would have been fixed. It would have been stopped. We could have started the trial and had the bishop removed. The whole council would have been removed. Mr. Cunningham would have been removed because all of them has been a part of this corruption. The pastors that's been here observing all this, watching all this, would have been removed. So he saved them. Okay. Therefore, because Mr. Bailey had deceased, then I had to change who I sent the letter to. Look at the letter. Okay. Nothing to hide. I sent it to the General Assembly Secretary. I also sent it to Mr. Cunningham. Now, I know for a fact that they received my letter. I know they received all the details of the corruption and the changes that they put in the Constitution and the lies and the deception and the manipulation that they put across to the members of the organization. I know they got it because I got a letter back. And look at what the letter says. Peace, Brother Lewis. Documentation you sent to the General Assembly Secretary was received on March 18th, 2024, before the next General Assembly. Please note that this is not a proposal for the General Assembly. Yours in grace, Apostle E.L. Thompson, Assistant General Assembly Secretary. Okay. So, they blocked my proposal. But what else they did is they blocked my proposal so you all would not read it. That proposal was supposed to go out to every house of prayer in the organization. That proposal was supposed to be read by every pastor to the house meetings. That proposal would have allowed you all to hear the lying, the deceiving, the manipulation, and the trickery that's going on behind the closed doors of our leadership. That proposal would have alerted everybody in the organization to understand how they're changing the laws of the Constitution and putting it in the hands of the court systems of the world for them to enforce it if somebody inside has a problem with the leadership outside. We've all been duped. All of the leaders have done it. Each and every one. All of them have had staff keeping these secrets from the members of the organization. Mr. Cunningham, his hand has been in this since 2006. He was the General Assembly Secretary. Since 2008, he's been on the Constitution Revision Committee. Since the first Constitution, 2009, that he signed a lie so that the members of the organization would believe that they changed the laws. He's kept those secrets while he was being pushed forward. And eventually, he was pushed up to senior minister to move the members of the organization to be prepared to receive him as the next bishop. Now, my proposal was blocked. Okay? My proposal was blocked. But let me show you. Here, 2024 General Assembly. General Assembly 2024. Instead of my proposal, they sent out a proposal from Mickey Bailey. And look, Constitutional Review Committee member. Again, the same okey doke. It says, the Constitutional Revision Committee for the General Assembly of 2024, meaning Mr. Cunningham now has appointed his own Constitution Fixing Committee, Constitution Change Behind the Backs of the Members Committee, Constitution Sell Them Another Fake Law Book Committee of 2024. Now, these are facts. Ordinarily, you can't come forward and say the things that I've said in the past because it's speculative. But we know this. The documentation is showing us that this is what they've done. This committee recommends that the present Constitution and bylaws of the United House of Prayer, as amended in 2022, continue in full force and effect. Even all those changes of last year that Lewis is trying to challenge because it's been discovered. My wife was the one who saw it. My wife brought it to my attention. We looked over all of this and we found what we never wanted to find, that the leader's hand is involved in corruption, to mislead, to defraud, to lie and deceive and manipulate every single member of this organization into believing that the Constitution has been legitimately changed each and every time it was amended. And anytime there is no amending that they would like to do to the Constitution, they have the people come from all over the country and do nothing while waiting that entire day for the bishop to arrive. He come in, they clap their hands, he says what he's pleased with, what he's not pleased with. The whole thing is a charade, and the people leave and go back. I was completely disgusted and angered by the amount of work they've been putting in, using the general counsel as well to deceive the members of this organization. Every general counsel member, every one of them, not the traveling young men trying to be one of them, but the ones up in the front, every one of them know. Every chairman know what's going on. Every state chairman knows they have a hand in this. This committee recommends that the Article 6 for bishops at the end of Section 4 adds a new section as follows. The chief executive officer and spiritual advisor of the organization shall be designated as bishop, and the present Bishop A.D. Cunningham shall hold the office for the period of his natural life. That was his masterpiece. That was all he wanted. That's the one thing he needed to happen in the 2024 General Assembly. He could not let Brother Jay Lewis and his wife attend because they're going to blow the roof off the building with the news that they can bring forward to the members of the organization. Here we are. General Assembly, May 24th, 2024. Look at the program. Look at the bishop. Matter of fact, let me blow it up so y'all can see. Look at the bishop. He made it. He got there. He pulled it off. In fact, why do you think the day of the election, he walked down the steps after looking up and he went and hugged Dolores Madison? We did it. We did it. We did it. Whispering in her ear because nobody could know. We pulled it off. It worked. Those banners that was up on the wall that night, already pre-printed. The programs that night, already pre-printed. He pulled it off. And now in the 24 General Assembly, he got to make sure that Mr. Lewis's proposal does not make it throughout the organization. So they pulled it. You just saw the letter. E.A. Thompson said, this is not a proposal. We're not going to let the people hear this. Oh, heck no. Are you crazy? So he says, no, bro, we're not going to do this. So thank you very much, but no thank you. Now, at that General Assembly, look at what happens. What do you see? D. What do you see? Proposals. Proposals. Now, look at what took place. Knowing that I had already written letters, I was already trying to make the people aware. I was already trying to tell the people everything that's been going on in the organization has been scandalous. All these secrets, all these backdoor meetings, all these things being done. People don't know what's going on. They don't have a clue. Being lied to, being ridiculed, being made mockery of. They know for a fact they're lying, but they have to make it all look legit. They have to point the finger at one man and make you all believe, just like I did for all those years, that this is our Heavenly Father's doing, that He's the one behind this, that this is really His servant, this is His man. But there's way too much going on. There's way too much lying. There's way too much deceiving. There's way too much manipulating. There's way too much covering. There's way too much falsifying. There's way too much secrets for this to have His hand in it. He's not going to be involved in corruption. He's not going to be involved in trickery. He's not going to be involved in wickedness to deceive and defraud an entire organization just so that you can have control of its assets, so that nobody questions you about what you're doing with the money, so that nobody has any input on any business transactions, what you do or don't do with property by selling it or relinquish it or doing whatever you want. Nobody has any oversight of your actions and your decision making. Nobody. And that's exactly what He's looking for. And He pulled it off. Now, look again. Look at the date. What does it say? What does it say? As revised and approved by the General Assembly, May 24th, 2024. Okay. Signed by the Honorable A.D. Cunningham, Bishop and Leader. Honorable? Honorable? Is this honorable to have sat on lies and deception and manipulation for over 18 years, deceiving an entire organization of people who's given their blood, sweat, and tears while following a man that they truly, honestly, wholeheartedly believe that this is their link to heaven above. He signed it saying that I am signing as a witness that the members of the General Assembly revised and approved this book. Look, who else? Mr. Jimmy Jones, now the General Assembly Secretary. Well, why is he the General Assembly Secretary? Because he worked on the committee beside Mr. Cunningham to deceive the entire organization, to lie to the entire organization about these constitutions. Now, you see the date, May 24th, 2024. I thought I saw it all. I don't know how to explain this one. I do not know how to explain this. I've been telling him for now 3 years that I'm on to you. I know what you're doing. And I try to explain it for 2 years. 2022, I called him on the phone. Me and Mr. Cunningham had conversation on the phone. I'm not going to tell you the phone conversation because it didn't, I wasn't at my best. But we talked almost 50 minutes. I have the phone records. Anyway, as I explained what the Constitution shows, I thought that they would have the wherewithal to fix it. I thought that if they go any further, they're surely not going to do what they've done in the past. They're not going to repeat the mistake that they made in leaving the paper trail to show everyone in the house of prayer and outside what they've done behind closed doors to deceive everybody. They're certainly not going to show the corruption in plain sight. To my surprise, the date in the back of the book is also in the front of the book. I say it time and time again, you cannot make this stuff up. You see the list at the top? All those changes was made in 2022. Changes that the members of the organization don't know anything about. They don't understand this, but all kinds of powers were stripped from the people and given to him. Power was stripped from the people and given to the council, given to the secretary, General Assembly secretary, and given to the senior minister that he wants to make Mr. Jones, but he can't because I let the cat out the bag already. But I'm sure as soon as he possibly can, he's going to go ahead and make him or somebody else the senior minister. It needs to be Jimmy Jones because he's the one that they're pushing forward. But you see the date. The Constitutional Revision Committee, a standing committee of the General Assembly, which is a lie. There is no Constitutional Revision Committee that the General Assembly put together. It's not a standing committee of the General Assembly. It's just more legal jargon that was probably put there by one of the advisors working along with the bishop to make the government of the world believe that this is legitimate. All of this is fraudulent. Heretofore duly designated and constituted for the purpose after due deliberation by who? By the members? Nope. By the people around the organization? No. By the hand-picked few people that Mr. Cunningham had to fix this Constitution and put his name in it. Made the following recommendation for amendment to the Constitution and bylaws of the House of Prayer. The General Assembly of May 2024 duly amended by unanimous vote Article 6, Section 5. How stupid. How can you say that the people in the General Assembly unanimously voted on 46 changes? First of all, anybody that knows anything about parliamentary procedure, if you have 46 amendments, y'all are probably going to be in deliberation for a whole week. You're going to go in and out for 46 amendments. Do you have that meeting? Took maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours tops to change 40, to add 46 changes. This on the 24th of May 2024, they're saying that the people did this, and they have the count already printed here. They have the date already printed here. It's the same date as the back of the book. And on the front of the book, look, May 2024. They made the same mistake, except this time it's worse, because how y'all going to have a General Assembly in May of 2024 and you have the results of the vote already printed in the book before you even had the meeting? You have the results printed in the book. This shows complete fraud. It's a lie. It shows Mr. Cunningham has been lying to everybody. Miss Mickey Bailey been lying. Mr. Jimmy Jones been lying. Listen, this entire general council knows about this. At this point in time, because what I've been doing, every single pastor of the organization knows that there's stuff wrong at the top. But you haven't seen one pastor yet come forward and stand up. Every single member of the organization need to be sitting down with your arms folded, looking at every pastor in their eye, saying, no. You, Lucy, got some splaining to do. You got some splaining to do, Lucy. No, Lucy. Explain to me how we get this book before we even have a meeting, Lucy. Listen. The point here, and I know that's a horrible, horrible Ricky Ricardo impression. Lucy, you got to explain it. That's how anyway, this is jacked up. The evidence is overwhelming that these people in these positions, I don't want to use the word fake. I don't want to use the word frauds. I don't want to use the word plants, but that's what all this paperwork is looking like. And the reason why they have to push, matter of fact, let me let you see something else. Let me let you see something else. This is how they manipulate the people. Here's an epistle. This is an epistle. Okay. Look at what it says. Holy greetings in Jesus' name through grace. Amen. Okay. Peace to my dear children. Now, first of all, that should never be, because Matthew 23:9, our Savior said to call no man father on earth. So either we believe in him, as we've been saying over and over, like John 14:15, if you love me, he said, keep my commandments. One of those commandments was called no man father on earth. Yet we have men encouraging, instilling, pushing, motivating, coercing people to call them father. Okay. Satan is busy trying to deceive and corrupt many of my children with his lies and corrupt ways. Look at this. Look at this. This is how this has been working for so long. Because you got people sitting back claiming that Satan is using everybody else who's trying to tell you the truth. People sitting back claiming that Satan is trying to deceive you with people trying to tell you the truth. Saying that Satan is trying to deceive and corrupt with his lies and corrupt ways, as if I am trying to deceive you and corrupt you with my lies and corrupt ways. No. This is truth and facts is just a title on a booklet of lies and more lies in our organization. What I have, these things, these are truths and facts that I'm getting to the bottom of to explain to the members of the organization while making you aware of how all of this stuff works in order to deceive every single person in this organization, as well as deceiving government officials outside. Here's another one. A notice, different date, but look at what it says. I write to warn you that Satan is trying to deceive you. How are you trying to warn the members of the organization that Satan's trying to deceive them when the whole time you know that you're deceiving them? How are you, Mr. Cunningham, going to tell people around the country, all over the place, don't lend your ear to the devil, and tell people to push past the noise? How are you going to tell people to turn their ear away from truth when you trying to tell people that I'm your delivery man? I'm here to deliver you. How are you going to tell them to turn a blind eye away from facts while trying to tell them that you are sent by him? When I told you all last year, you better not ever say, as he is your witness, because you know for a fact that he is not your witness. So I want you all to understand that this rise, this ascension to the throne, is not because he was sent by him. It's because certain things were done behind closed doors to put himself in the seat. And this is why those councilmen went back to their congregations and told them, we know this must be his will, because there was not one person who voted for nobody else. Everybody in there voted for one man. One man. Of course they did, because you all saw to it that there was only one name that the people could vote on. This is how this person rose through the ranks. We have 4 constitutions that Mr. Cunningham has his name in each one of these. Each one of these constitutions are false. They're full of lies. They're full of illegal changes, unlawful amendments, and Mr. Cunningham has had his hand in every single one of them. But he needs you all and me to ignore it. So what they do is put things together like this. Okay? They need you to believe that the men in these pictures are holy men. They need you to believe because of the fine suit, the fine clothes that they wear. They need you to believe that those men couldn't possibly do any wrong. But we have a list of people that's itching to come forward to say a whole lot of things about these men. We have a long list of people waiting to come and talk about this one. People are going to get angry when they hear from those people. Some people still living when they were 9 years old and they had testimonies about this one. 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old, and they say that Miss Dolores Madison had a hand in every single part of it. And they can't wait to look you dead in your eyes and call you out. See, there's people who've been sitting around waiting for a long time, and his hand is not in anything that y'all doing here. But his hand is all over what we're doing on this channel. His hand is in all of what we're doing in this channel. So I'm going to show you all how they get the. This is the subject of a Sunday school lesson. This is the subject of a Sunday school lesson. A Sunday school lesson. Then they have points of focus. Look at the point of focus. Let me get this right. Look at the point of focus. Did Apostle Paul's act of forgiving in the person of Christ exemplify the use of the keys to the kingdom, granting him the authority to God? For Addie Cunningham, why do people criticize us for praising God? When we glorify God because of the word that Addie Cunningham spoke in Christ, does that make him unto God a sweet savor of Christ? All this is indoctrination. And what I am going to be doing, I'm going to set up maybe once a week or once every other week. I'm going to set up a midweek Sunday school. Midweek Sunday school. And I'm going to pick out a Sunday school lesson or a few so that I can talk about to show you the indoctrination and how over the last several years, the Sunday school books that are intended and supposed to be bringing people into the understanding of the word of our Father, how the Sunday school classes are being twisted and manipulated in order to indoctrinate our children and our members to get them to believe that these men are his servants so that they won't question them in anything. Now, look at the resources. Look at the resources. These are the resources that's being used to teach the Sunday school lessons. These are the resources. How are you going to use, listen, King James Authorized Version is a resource. The Holy Bible, Chronicles of the Modern Era, that was put together by the bishop staff of the House of Prayer. How are you going to use that as a resource for Sunday school? Letters from the bishops of the House of Prayer. How are y'all going to use that as resources for Sunday school? The Constitution and bylaws of the United House of Prayer for All People. How are you going to use that as resources? From Remembrance to Return. That was a book about Mr. Bailey's visit to Jerusalem. How are you using that as a resource for Sunday school? The House of Prayer and you. The Grace, McCullough, Madison, Bailey, and Cunningham magazines are resources for Sunday school. What? The Truth and Facts. Are you aware? The Sunday school is supposed to be teaching the word, not teaching the false doctrines that's been pushed on us down through the years by these men who started off with Mr. Grace writing a constitution to protect himself from the members of the organization. We now know that that is a fact. Now, I will say everything that I've said tonight is my opinion. But all of the paperwork and the documents look like my opinions are on point. And so I tell you all to continue to wait with me while we wait for the outside regulating agencies to determine when or whether they will be coming in to look at all these things taking place and then give us direction which way we need to go from that point forward. So for all of those members that are still traveling and that's still raising all this money, you need to understand that all of this is done by design. And that's why you see Mr. Murray, for the documents to show that his name is on all this paperwork put there by Mr. Cunningham himself. Mr. Cunningham said nothing whatsoever. He said nothing whatsoever, while giving the impression that I'm here for you all. I'm here to do a work for you all. I'm going to show you some of the truth and facts, some of the magazines, the testimonies, what's been written about these men. I'm going to, as long as I possibly can, I'm going to show you all these things, how it's been used to manipulate the people and convince the people that these men are what they say they are, while they're working behind the scenes to take from everybody that they possibly can, while hiding things from agencies outside the organization, while keeping everything secretive. We don't need secretive. We need transparency. And anybody who works for him will have nothing to hide. Anybody who works for him won't be running away from people trying to have a meeting in front of everybody else. Anybody who works for him won't have a problem with answering people's questions in public. Anybody working for him, they're not going to be sitting back and say not a word while having their hand out to keep taking from people who are themselves in need. Anybody working for him, you're not going to take the opportunity to oppress the people to enrich yourself. See, these are the things that Isaiah talked about, as well as Jeremiah, and we can go on and on and on. But here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now. This has been 2 hours. But I want to thank those individuals who did reach out and say that they still did not understand. So I hope that this has given you clarity to understand how this individual who demands for everyone of the organization, if you're going to be in this house of prayer, you're going to follow Addie Cunningham, right? For that individual, who Mr. Jimmy Jones said, who's supposed to be working for the people, if anybody don't like him or following him, y'all can look for the doors that's got the red sign. They're letting you know that they work for him, not for you, for him. The chairmans, district chairman, state chairman, the pastors don't look out for the people. They're not looking out for you. They're not working for you. They're working for him. Their job is to get you to give money that they call tithes, G-class, love gift, and to get you to come out, what they say, every night to give him what we owe him. They want you there so they can dig their hands into your pockets and take out more money so that they can report that money when he comes. Now, he's saying that he's working hard for the members of the organization, coming around to charge the mountain. First of all, there is no mountain in the house of prayer. It's just a wooden platform. That's all it is. It's nails and boards. Now, you can call it what you want, but it certainly is not the mountain that's referred to in the scripture. He does not see that platform that we put a chair at the top of it and guardrails around the sides. He does not see that as a mountain. He does not see the one sitting in that chair as his servant. His son said, a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. He said, a good tree cannot bring forth corrupt fruit. And not only is all this stuff corruption, hiding and coming up with lies and holding people to it, and then lying to governmental bodies, as well as don't even get started on tax, IRS, tax evasion. People, I'm telling you all, before this all comes down, so that you all know what's coming, what I believe is right around the corner, so that you're not surprised. You should really, really strongly consider whether or not you want to continue doing what you've been doing. And if you choose to, make sure you're taking care of yourselves and your families first. There's something else I was going to say, but I'm not. I'm going to save it for the next video. But I will, today is Wednesday, I will probably put something together with the first Sunday school book before, with the first Sunday school lesson before this coming Sunday. And we have not yet heard from the third video that was taken down because of a technicality. They believe that I put out private information. I've been waiting for them to put that back up. And instead of me trying to go through to post all that information, again, I haven't had time. The easiest thing for me to do, since, again, we're still dealing with a few members who did not understand everything, I will, just like tonight, take my time and go through all of the websites and show you one at a time those documents all over again, so that you can pull up the websites for yourselves and see the truth and facts pertaining to the things that Brother Lewis is talking about, so that you will once again know and understand that none of this is fraudulent. None of this is made up. This is not deception. I'm not trying to deceive nor corrupt you. I'm trying to make you aware so that you will do as I did, open up our eyes, turn our attention to our Father above, and seek to do his will. The reason why we were asleep all this time is because instead of us reading his word, these men had us reading their word. This right here, this is not the doctrine, not his. Remember, Matthew 24 says that many false prophets are going to rise. And they're going to be teaching and pushing false doctrines. And I'm going to show you all through this book, all through 2025, all through 2024, all through 2023 and 21 and 20, all the way back, as far back as the so-called Sunday school books go. I can show you all kinds of false doctrine that the scripture teaches against, and how the scripture is being twisted to seem like it means something that it doesn't. So with all of that in mind, I'm done for now. Let me go to the comments and we'll go through them before we close it out. Hello, everyone. Several of you. Hello, everyone. Beverly Huey said, message retracted. Blanche Lehman. They all talked down to members who truly needed a good word from them to have hope. Yes, they did. Talking about the leaders and all over that council. A lot of the councilmen completely disrespected people left and right, sometimes in private, sometimes in the open. And some of those individuals are also waiting to come forward. So absolutely, 100%, I agree. Black Diamonds sound like they network marketing. Yes, to do the things that they were doing, they were getting individuals in on the secrecy by giving favors. Sometimes it involved money, sometimes it involved positions. What you saw with Jimmy Jones, he was taken out of Hickory, Virginia, and made the pastor of New York to put him in a chairmanship position. After that, he was made, he was put into the position of General Assembly Secretary. And then Mr. Cunningham, after he put himself in the seat, made him a judge. So Jimmy is being pushed forward pretty rapidly, but all of this is done by design. And all of this is a part of network marketing. They network within the men of the organization who become elders to see which ones of them are willing to bend over and break the laws, which ones of them are willing to keep secrets, which ones of them are willing to do whatever they want without making the people aware of it. 100%. The Lies of Him and Her. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. Please subscribe, share, and thumbs up the video and turn on your notification to support the channel. Thank you, The Lies of Him and Her. Please write all your correspondence to email address we stand for right 2024 at gmail.com. Thank you again, The Lies of Him and Her. Blanche says, they are deep diving into so much illegal action, and I just don't see this ending well for all who are involved, knowingly or not. I can't even begin to tell you the list that I compiled. The list that I compiled of infractions, of laws, of I can't even. You all wouldn't believe me. But yeah, and the thing is we didn't do this to them. They did this to themselves. They knew what they were doing, and they willingly went along with it. So, yeah, the lies of him and her. Everyone, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you again. It helps the algorithm of the channel. We have 34 people in the room and only 9 thumbs up. Thank you. Peace abide. Um, Thumbs up. Thank you. Peace abide. Okay. People pushing the channel. I listen. Uh, there's a lot that my desire is just to put this information out, and I'm just whatever he does with it. That's what he does. I'm grateful because he has put individuals around us supporting what we're doing on the channel who understands how a lot of these things work. I stopped dealing with technology years ago. Uh, 'Cause I know you have to keep up. I don't have the time to stay on top of it, so I just don't. As long as I can get the information out, that's my interest. So I'm grateful because he has seen to it that this is going out. Um, but thank you again. I appreciate that. The lives of him and her. Um, Blanche says, "What a waste of Bailey's law degree if she's part of this foolish corruption. And clearly, she is both deeply involved and completely responsible for her part." Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I don't know what to say. Not only her, Mr. Cuthbert, too, the judge. I don't know what to say. They both are officers of the court. And when you involve yourself in something that you know is fraudulent and you offer your input, the ones who you're telling to do XYZ, they're going to take your input as legal advice. And any officer of the court cannot advise people to do things to break laws. So we will see how the outside regulating agencies, how they look at all this. We'll see. Ooh, Jay Banga. Hey, Jay. Um, That's a lot of changes. Yeah, yeah. Which is why the people need to understand every single change affects you. What if, without your knowledge, um, the city changed your speed limit in your neighborhood? So instead of 25 miles an hour, the speed limit is now 15 miles an hour. But they don't sit police out there. Instead, they put up photo traps, those boxes that take pictures of everybody speeding and then send tickets out in the mail. All these tickets would be coming over. Nobody knew that the speed limit had changed from 25 to 15. Now everybody going to be getting hit with tickets. And if you don't pay your tickets, then they're going to freeze and disable your driver's license. And when you try to get your car registered, well, then you got to hit on that too. You can't do that. You can't do nothing until you pay. That would not be good for anyone. And I'm sure there would be public outcry. I'm sure that the people in those neighborhoods would rise up and say, wait a minute, Mr. and Mrs. Politicians, we don't like this. We got to change this. This is not right. That's what I'm saying. When people create laws to entrap the people or ensnare the people or take advantage of the people or take powers from the people, they're going to continue to do it until the people put a stop to it. No, we're not going to allow this no more. We're not having it. And they know that the only place that the members of this organization can do anything about the things that they've done is you have to get to the General Assembly. And there you must stand up and speak out. You have to do what I did. And now he's done everything he can to keep me out of that meeting. Why do you think that is? Because he knows if I get in that meeting, the Robert's Rules of Orders and parliamentary Parliamentary procedure will allow me to get up to the microphone and I can explain what happened. But before I did all of that, I would demand to hear the minutes of 2022 and 2023 and 2024 before we do anything else. They can't say, well, we're on the time restraint. No, we're not. The services of the organization on Friday night does not take precedence over the General Assembly. The General Assembly is the most important meeting of the organization, and it's only held one time of year. You cannot tell people that we're on a time limit. That General Assembly is not supposed to have a time limit at all. It's supposed to be unlimited time until the people agree to come to a close. That's how it's supposed to work. But the councilman who is not supposed to be sitting up in the General Assembly at all, they're not supposed to be assembled up there. They got nothing to do with the General Assembly. But they're there to intimidate all the people who come there because they know that they're part of the charade. They're part of the scandal. They're part of the game. And they need to trick you into being scared of them. They need to intimidate you so that you don't open up your mouth and speak. And so far, every single year, it has worked. Until a young man came up in there in 2023. And ever since then, they've been trying to keep that information out of the ears of the people by telling them stay off of YouTube. But yet, y'all getting letters in the organization saying that Satan is trying to deceive and corrupt you with his lies and corruption. Well, who's lying when you're hearing people tell you stay off of YouTube? People trying to deceive and lie to you on YouTube. But y'all see the facts. I'm not the one hiding. I'm on YouTube because they're the ones hiding. But absolutely, Blanche, she and everybody with her, Mr. Jones, even Mr. Cunningham, Miss Madison is sitting back. But she knows full well what's coming. Jay Banga, this is why it's always supposed to be checks and balances. Absolutely. You cannot have a system of government where people are in rulership or authority and there is no oversight. There's supposed to be a checks and balance system. Even the president of the country has people that has oversight. Supposed to be. Even mayors have oversight. Even governors have oversight. Do y'all know how many people are sitting back watching these videos not believing that our organization's leaders have gotten away with this stuff? This is a cable TV show. This is more entertaining than some of the craziest shows on cable TV. Jay Banga says that's like Mr. Trump having the Supreme Court in his hands. Right. The president, you can't have the Supreme Court doing your bidding. Whether it's Mr. Trump, whether it's Mr. Biden, President Trump, President Biden, President Obama, President Bush, the Supreme Court does not work for you. Congress is not supposed to work for you. They're supposed to be evaluating your performance. They're supposed to be watching and monitoring your performance. They're supposed to keep you on a leash, not let you run all over the place. Blanche says there definitely needs to be an outside oversight committee. Absolutely. Our oversight committee is supposed to be inside, and the oversight committee is supposed to be the General Assembly. It starts with the General Assembly secretary. He's supposed to be the one who has the CEO of the organization in check. This is why the CEO of the organization should never be sitting up there. Never. Listen, let me show y'all something. When the president of these United States makes his way to Congress up on Capitol Hill, does the president get up there and sit in the chair that belongs to the speaker? When y'all see, listen, when he goes to Congress, you see the vice president sitting in a seat behind him that's elevated above him. The vice president, their job is to vote to break a tie in Congress, if there is one. In Congress, the vice president has more power and authority than the president. This is why we saw a time that the president wanted his vice president to confirm votes. If y'all recall. But the vice president sits above. The president does not go into Congress and sit up in that seat. He's not above everything in that room. The CEO is not supposed to come into the House, the General Assembly, and sit up above everybody and bark orders at everybody and everybody run and serve his bidding. Some things need to change around here. I'm telling you all, that's not the way it's supposed to go. So there definitely needs to be an outside oversight committee, outside of the administration's office, outside of the bishop's office. And for those of you who think that the board of directors is the general counsel, it's never been the general counsel. The general counsel's position is only there to protect the bishop and the money of the organization. That is all. That's all. The general counsel doesn't even make decisions for the bishop to follow. If the general counsel ever tried to make a decision for the bishop to follow, then the bishop is going to get rid of some of those men. Because it is plain as day in the supreme laws that the bishop tells them what to do, and they work for him. So even the general counsel is not giving oversight to the bishop. Eliza Verman, her good evening, Jola Violante. Jay Banger says, wrong is wrong, regardless who it is. Can't be biased with God. Right is right, wrong is wrong, period. He has no respect to persons, neither should we. Welcome to everyone that's coming in. Please thumbs up the video. Liza and her give the email address. Thank you again. Kareen, we really don't know what the general secretary actually recorded. Exactly. Perhaps that's why they always waive the reading of the minutes, because it consisted of false statements. Exactly. I told the general counsel this. This is why y'all never read the minutes, because who in the world knows what you're writing? They're writing things in favor of the council. They're writing things in favor of the bishop. They're writing things in favor of themselves. And they're writing things to set you up so they cannot afford to allow the people to read what they're writing. The purpose of reading the minutes in the first place is to make sure that what was documented are the actual facts of what went on. You're not supposed to trust whoever's sitting up there writing. Everybody, you should be hearing what was written. And furthermore, you shouldn't stop there. What's in writing, the recording secretary should be making copies and sending out to everyone so that y'all can see for yourselves before you arrive at the meeting. This is what credit unions do. This is what companies do, corporations all around the country, some around the world. Because the minutes are not supposed to be hidden. The minutes are not supposed to be secretive. 100%. Jay Banga, I know you couldn't have been the only one to catch on. It's crazy not one other person had the heart to speak up. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people are saying that they didn't know these things. They're thanking me and Maria for talking about it and for bringing it up. But now, since I brought it up in 2023, there's no excuse. This is 3 years later. But what has happened, Mr. Cunningham and the general councilman and the General Assembly secretary and the pastors have worked hand in hand with the chairmen to do everything they could to keep the members from finding any of this stuff out. And here we are 3 years later. And he's still able to get up there and say stuff, and people, whatever. Our bands and choirs are still traveling. Clap your hand. Come on. They're taking advantage of y'all too. And they're using you all more than any other member of the organization. They're using the musicians more than any other member of the organization. Because without the musicians, everything else comes to a standstill. Everything. Without the bands, without the choirs, everything will come to a standstill. This is why I told y'all also about your children. Because when these things go down, people are going to come in questioning parents because of all the stuff that y'all don't know that other children have come forward and reported quietly. And they're going to be holding parents accountable for child neglect, for putting your children in situations that were harmful for those children. Some parents may very well be spending some time. I've been saying this over and over again. I hope it doesn't happen, but the things that's coming forward has been so severe. And I said over and over, don't believe me if you don't want to. All these facts that I'm pointing out, okay. Joe Violante, yes. Wolves in sheep's clothing. That's exactly. The Messiah called the priests in the temple wolves in sheep's clothing. He called them blind guides. He called them hypocrites. He called them den of thieves. He called them snakes, generation of vipers. Talking about the leaders of the people, the priests. Mr. What do you believe? He says, Jay Banga, many members know. Many that are no longer here with us knew. Children are curious, just like our natural parents forbade us to look behind the closed doors. Addie does the same thing. Couldn't have put it better myself. Many know, but some people go along to get along. Some people like the fanfare. Some people like the recognition. Some people like their names called out. Some people like to be, praised and exalted, and that's why they do it. Why do y'all think that the pastors come forward? Uh, uh, Third on top is such and such and such. Second on top, such and such. First one, first place, because people love the recognition. The first auxiliary going, yeah, and it's over. It's over. And somebody might see you down in the kitchen. All right now, boy, I saw you. You second on top. All right, yeah. And they sit there like, yeah, yeah. And it's over. And just to get that recognition might have cost you $4,000, $5,000. And now you get to go home feeling good, but you're eating off the dollar menu. You got to put in overtime so you can pay that loan back. Well, y'all say DC, some of you. DC sitting up there, he going out the door. Brown paper bags going with him, 3, 4, 5 of them. Still haven't talked about all of that yet. I'm telling y'all, there's so much going on to make all of us look like absolute complete fools. And that's what they call us. Those stupid, ignorant, dumb House of Prayer members. That's what they call us. They've been calling us that for years. For years. While they're getting in the car with all that money. Look at those stupid people. Somebody actually said that one of them, I can't remember who, I cannot remember who. If I do remember, I'm going to come back and talk about this. One of them said they make me sick. Them stupid House of Prayer people. You can tell them anything. Tell them anything, and they'll do whatever you want. That's why I talked about the other night. They're driving around the block. And people yelling and screaming. In the cold. It's like I talk about 8th Street being on top. 8th Street beat every house in the organization except 6 and M Street. But if y'all recall, wait a minute, they had 100 people on Addie's Club. I remember they said Charlotte Mother House had 140 or 160. That was one report. Number 2 had 137 one time. North Charlotte had like 119. Now, that was one report. And 2 other reports, they were way up there. When 8th Street only had the one report with 100 people, and another report, and Mr. Cunningham, for the Mother House alone, Charlotte, y'all remember, he got up and they went around the House of Prayer. The report was so large, he got up and went around the House of Prayer. He didn't do that for 8th Street. So how did 8th Street beat y'all? All the old houses in Charlotte, all the houses, North Philadelphia, 8th Street whipped y'all too. New York, every house in Georgia, every house in Virginia, all across the Midwest. 8th Street dusted everybody in here. That's why I said, who reading these reports? The man sitting in the seat be lying through his teeth, but nobody can go and verify that information. Nobody. It's expected of you to just accept it and believe it. 6 and M Street been on top every single year, every year. Every year, New York beat them one time, North Carolina once. Every year, tip top stars, always on top, always, always. People, y'all, you've got to know better. I remember Mr. Madison, one of his favorite songs. Uh, Please don't get involved with that he say, she say. At the end of that song, nothing but confusion all the time. Oh, when he says that she says, somebody gonna say that I said, look out. Somebody is lying. Lies going around everywhere, but you will never know it. Again, Mr. What do you believe? People know and they go along with anyway. I think it's because of these after parties, after service parties that I told y'all about. I learned about it. I didn't believe it. It's all the time, all over the place. And for that reason, people still do a lot of traveling too. The after service parties. Parents, y'all best keep your eyes on your children. I'm going to go this far. Children, y'all need to keep some of y'all's eyes on your parents. Some of y'all being left by your parents because your parents are getting involved in some of this other stuff too. Listen, every one of you people are going to give an account for the stuff that's going on. These angels are writing all this stuff down. Let's go ahead and close this video out. Jay Banga, I agree with you. Mr. What do you believe? I was born and raised in the UHOP, and I love the UHOP members. When I said nobody had the heart, I was referring to the men in the General Assembly. Boom. Mr. What do you believe? Jay Banga, thank you for the clarity. I agree 1000%. It pains me that the men, I'm going to go ahead and say it, these are not men. These are not men. These are not men. It's just like what they call, what's it called? Republican, Rhino, Republican in name only. That's a nickname that they came up with. I'm not turning into some politics. Some people are Republican for different reasons. Some people are Democrat for different reasons. Some Republicans are becoming Democrats. Some Democrats are becoming Republican. Some people are becoming unaffiliated with either party, okay, and becoming independent. So we got people for different reasons doing whatever. These are men in name only. Minnows. Men in name only. Men who are not standing up for the members, men who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, keeping their obligations and responsibilities. Even the fiduciary duties are not being kept by these men. And this is where the laws of land come in. Because whenever you represent a congregation of people as a pastor, you have a legal responsibility that you yourself need to go check out. Why do y'all think that all these other pastors understand the law? And not one time has anybody told these pastors in the house of prayer, y'all better go and learn the law and your responsibilities as a pastor over a flock of members who are U.S. citizens, tax-paying citizens. Can't say it any plainer. He said, I agree 1000%. It pains me that the men didn't have the courage to confront the obvious deception and dishonesty. So far, three times. Now, y'all say, well, wait a minute, we haven't gotten there yet. 2023, 24, 25. This is the third time. Nope. The first time was in October of 2023 when Mr. Cunningham had that that fake election. That was the first time that men by gender had the opportunity to stand up and speak out. I don't care what you lose. I don't care what is on the line. You stand up and speak out because you're going to have to stand before him one day. And all of these people who's paying the price for being members in here and being deceived, you got to answer for every single one of them, for the lives that you've destroyed, for the families that you've ruined, because the United House of Prayer for All People leadership has ruined lives and households and entire communities and neighborhoods for generation after generation after generation after generation. The leadership, not the House of Prayer, the leadership has ruined and destroyed lives and families and entire communities by doing what they do. Think about this, the furlough. Mr. Cunningham came to Washington, D.C. During the furlough, 6 weeks, people did not get paid. 6 weeks. And he came to collect money and walk out that door. To get inside of a brand new, crystal clean, paper tag on the back, Maybach. Some say valued at up to $600,000. You drove that car out there to show it off to everybody who's hungry, who's in need. Bills can't get paid while you coming out there with your hand out. And then all the things that he spend money on, how much of a slap on the people's faces for you to take those custom-made suits and have Mr. Rodriguez Murray, the beneficial owner of the organization, beside you, hand in hand, to auction off those suits to the people. It is, like he said, that they didn't have the courage to confront the obvious deception and dishonesty. Money is a powerful drug, indicating the fact that, yes, absolutely, of course, many of these men were paid. Of course, they were paid. It's like the fake return of Mr. Belton. It's unfortunate, but when you look at these situations, of course, there's money behind it. Jay Banga, exactly, man. That's wild to me. Grateful for it all. What a mess. Pure foolishness. Jay Banga, yeah. According to Shay. Same thing. Black Diamonds, UHOP members are in prison by the Bishop Cunningham and the General Counsel, and we don't know how to get out or don't want to get out. The reason we don't know where else we can serve the Lord. The problem with that is people have not been serving the Most High. People have been serving what they thought was the Most High while also serving and worshiping these men. To believe in these men, to call on these men is to worship these men. And we've made the leaders of this organization idols. We've idolized them. And that's what is going on. That's what happened. And now that our eyes are opening, we have to let them go and seek the Father, the one true Father, to seek his will. But it starts with reading the scripture for yourself. There is no building, there is no place that we can go at all on the planet to find him. He can be found within the pages of the scripture. He and his Son and his holy, 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 what we refer to as Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, can be found in the scripture. If we want him, we have to look for him there. But people don't want to read. So they follow people who they believe has found him already. And those people are taking advantage of those followers by taking everything they can from them and putting it in their pocket. Except in this situation, the leader's not putting this stuff in their pocket. Well, they are. But the two at the top, Miss Madison, this isn't about putting money in her pocket. This is about her wanting to control the entire organization and its assets, to have control over everything in here. That's what it's about. Same thing with Mr. Cunningham now. While the members get nothing, which is why for that furlough, he walked right back out that door with all the money and told the members on that night, you need to tighten your belts because we're in for some hard times. Tighten their belts. You just spent $600,000 maybe on a car, and you're telling them to tighten their belts. They couldn't go down and get a hot dog. You're sending them up the street to other denominations, other places of worship for assistance to get food or utilities paid, while also threatening the members of the organization that you're going to put them out if they don't pay rent. These things will be coming up again soon. So, again, Black Diamonds, we don't know how to get out. Let me tell you how to get out. The General Assembly, people need to stand up, demand to hear the minutes of 22, 23, and 24. Period. And then make a motion. You make a motion. I move that we hear the minutes of 2023, 2024, and 2022 so that we can determine what happened in those general assemblies that brought us to this point where things are being discussed outside of the organization that we, the members within the organization, don't know nothing about. We need to get a handle on this because there's documentation that has come forward that we didn't know about. I move that we hear all of those minutes, provided I get a second. Somebody seconded. Now they got to take a vote on it. How many of you are in favor of hearing the minutes of 2022, 23, and 24? And then the people have to vote. Once they hear the minutes, then somebody else got to put up another motion. I move that we immediately open an investigation and we dismiss the general counsel, the General Assembly secretary, and have independence to do the investigation, since it has also been determined that the general counsel and the General Assembly secretary are working for the CEO. Get a motion on it, put it to a vote. Now the people have just said, we're going to have an investigation, and the council has nothing to do with it. Why is that possible? Because the council is a part of the corruption. The General Assembly secretary is a part of the corruption. And so by including them on the investigation, they now cannot take part in the investigation process because they're being accused. And when that happened, now things can move forward. And once you find that there's evidence to support these allegations against them and him, then the final straw is to have them removed out of position and replaced. Now, many of you might say, well, this is a tedious process. No, it's not. It's not tedious at all. All of that would take less than 1 hour. Maybe even 30 to 45 minutes. Done. But in order for it to happen, They know that the members of the organization has to come in there and be bold enough to do it. And that's why they intimidate these people so much. There's nothing that they can do to you. What are they going to do? There's nothing that they can do. But by giving you the impression that, well, what are they going to? There's nothing they can do. They're the ones breaking the laws. They're the ones that's corrupt. They're the ones that's hiding all this fraudulent activity that the leaders are doing at the top and taking advantage of you. So that's what the people can do. Whether they do it or not, this year, time will tell. Last year, we had this thing. We had this thing by 3 o'clock last year. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the whole organization would have been hearing news that every one of them were made brothers. We had this last year, but something happened. So again, there's time, but we're waiting for outside to come in because there's so far the leaders have done everything in their power to keep the members of the organization with their foot on their neck, and they're breaking every single law in the book according to us in black and white. But outside has to say that. I can't say that. They have to say it. But while we're waiting for outside, if another General Assembly comes up, then the people still have the authority and the power given to them by this Constitution to do what they need to do. But Mr. Cunningham is banking on this Constitution, which is the absolute worst Constitution. Anybody in their right mind would have burned this up and told every one of you in the house of prayer, get your crazy butts back in that room and fix this. But our people, not looking at anything, just trusting the man of God, the man of God, the man sitting up there lying to everybody, stealing from everybody, cheating everybody, deceiving everybody, manipulating everyone. And got a group of people around him helping him do it. Why do y'all think those councilmen never change? Because they're in on this to trick you and to keep believing in him. Grateful for it all says unbelievable. Black Diamonds, give clarification and truth through the channel if anybody has questions about what is being taught within Sunday school lessons. Yes, I will be coming back. We'll be doing the Sunday school lessons right here. Right here. I'm going to show you how they indoctrinate the members. I'm going to show you all the little manipulative mental tricks and the psychology that they use to twist the scripture. And the Sunday school committee know what they're doing. I believe Mr. Tanner, the pastor out there in California, he's a part of it. He knows what he's doing. He's working for Mr. Cunningham. As you stated, the Creator doesn't look to man as being his servant. He watches how long his glory and praise is used for manipulation, authority, and power to create a false doctrine. Absolutely. And this is what we're looking at. This is what we've seen. And they've done that. Exactly that. Mr. What do you believe? I cringe every time I see a UHOP member in the grocery store with a $4,000 lapel pin on, struggling to make groceries in this economy. Yeah. That lapel pin, $2,000. It might be $4,000 now, but it's $2,000 to get it. And Mr. Cunningham is increasing the prices for that little 17-cent thing to make over in China somewhere or here in the U.S. now. But that's nickel plated aluminum with other minerals inside. It's not gold. It's nickel plated and then gold sprayed on top of that. And you're taking $2,000, but it's a cursed object. It's to put his image on your body because this is your idol. That's the idol. That's the image of your idol. And I was doing it too. I didn't know. Now I know. And uh-uh. My desire and my servitude is for Yahuwah and Yahusha, the maker, the creator of heaven and earth, and his beloved begotten son, begotten son. Um, anyway, question: do you think that Addie Grace created the false doctrine of you house of prayer to manipulate our imagination when slavery and civil rights was a major impact during that time? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Grace didn't invent it, though. He took the idea from other people in that era that was also manipulating society. Um, Father Divine, Mr. Grace was doing exactly what Father Divine did, except he incorporated some of his teachings and the practices of Catholicism into here at the House of Prayer. So, yeah, we have Catholic practices inside the House of Prayer. Surprise. Mr. Grace was Catholic, but the whole thing was set up as a front. The only problem is people took to it and they really treated it like it was a religious institution. They thought it was a church, and it took off and the money came. It surprised even Mr. Grace. And so he went with it. And so unfortunately, things that were kept under wraps back at that time did not come forward because people were paid to keep it. And some of the families who knew about some of the things that was done were paid also to keep it. And Mr. Grace, I have evidence. I can show you all that Mr. Grace paid money to people to be quiet about his activities that was going on. So when I tell y'all I got receipts, I'm trying to tell y'all. I'm trying to tell you. But the thing is that all of our generations have poured and poured and poured and poured into this organization as a nonprofit. That's why Mr. Cunningham keeps wanting you all and me to just leave quietly, take your hat and coat and bye. Don't say nothing to nobody. Why? Because they want you to leave everything that you and your forefathers and their forefathers poured into this organization so that they can keep it, so that they can control it. This is not for me about material goods. This is about making the members aware of the fact that they want to keep their hands on what you have built. Ask yourselves the question, what have they ever done for any of the people? And people say, well, what about low-cost housing? That's the easiest way to launder money. The property is being purchased. If it was about low-cost housing for the members, then why is it that the money in the organization was spent? A little teeny tiny bit was spent for the people, but a whole lot was spent for Mr. Grace. Why is it that the people saw him purchase the El Dorado, the largest apartment building in New York, was purchased? It sits there in Central Park, but none of the members could live there. Why is it that he built some things and put some things up, even soup kitchens? People say, well, what about the soup kitchens? What about it? Do y'all know who else was famous back at that time who had soup kitchens? Al Capone. Al Capone was doing a whole lot of stuff to make it look like he's a man of the people, that he's helping the people. But the whole time, Al had a lot of stuff going on that people didn't know about. And those things were being done to give the appearance, to make it look like, to build your image in front of the public so that they would not know what you got going on in the back. We now know that that was the case. So for Mr. Grace to have bought mansions, one mansion had 85 rooms, but you're spending the money given to you by the house of prayer. You have a mansion in different locations. The one in Detroit was called the Palace. And then you have a mansion in Cuba. Please tell me, explain to me, how was that money being used to help the people of the house of prayer when the members of the house of prayer had sawdust on the floors? They had nails banged in boards on the wall. That was where you hung your coat. You had benches with no back. These are buildings that he's coming to collect money. Y'all saw the house on Logan Circle? The expensive things inside that house. The tens of thousands of dollars being, listen, I don't have to, what was being done for the people? And even after then, what has been done for the people? Even today, what is he doing for the people? The people had a furlough. And then when the furlough was over, after 45 days, they had to wait another 3 weeks to get their first check. Mr. Cunningham did nothing for not one person. Mind you, you shouldn't be doing anything for one person anyway. We're supposed to have organization-wide programs set up. Again, people, at some point in time, we got to start using this. Mr. What do you believe? Black Diamonds. I think he was a charlatan that looked for a quick hustle. He saw the successes of other preachers of that time right there. Right there. And there was others, right? There was one named Prophet Jones doing the same thing. And there's people even today all around the world doing the same thing. Let me close out with this. Let me finish what Mr. What Do You Believe said before I say this. Continued. In the Black community, he saw other preachers doing what they did in the Black community. His look, his dialect provided the perfect propaganda for people who couldn't read the book to confirm his self-proclaimed divinity. It was the perfect lie. Perfect lie. I mean, think about this. We heard on the radio, you ought to come down to the house of prayer to see how pretty I am. Why are you inviting people to come to see how pretty you are? Does this sound like a man who's the servant of the Creator? People. Let me last point. We're at 3 hours. Anyone, wherever you are, go online and go to the 2024 census, CEN, and look that up. And look at how many people are in your city. Look at how many people, according to the census, that's in your state. And then ask yourself, how many people in that city are aware of the leader of the house of prayer being his servant, that they need to know him in order to get there. The city that I'm in has 56,000. It's a very, very small city. 56,000 residents. 56,000. The house of prayer might have 12 to 15 members. $56,000, 12 to 15. And they've had 12 to 15 for years. The county that I'm in, the county has, I don't want to be certain. Um, um, okay. The county has 206,361 people. This county, very small county. But in this county of Iredell, again, 11 to 15 people, 12 to 15 people. The next one, the state. Matter of fact, let me do Charlotte. Charlotte, North Carolina, the city, has 943,476 people. I estimate all the houses of prayers in the Charlotte area might have maybe 5,000, maybe. That leaves right around 938,000 people. What is my point? My point is, when you look at these numbers, none of this makes sense. That this man travels from city to city to collect money from us while giving us the impression that we are his chosen people. And he doesn't have nothing that he wants to do with anybody who's not a member of the house of prayer. That he has chosen us to be members in here and is keeping everybody else outside. But the Messiah gave his life for the whole world, for the disciples to go to all the world preaching the undisputed gospel, that whosoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. But we are of the impression that the world cannot access him without going through Mr. Cunningham or the leaders of the house of prayer. People, we have to wake up. And now with all of this evidence, I'm showing you that we've been lied to, we've been duped, we've been manipulated. The facts are the facts. The case is clear. And we have people coming in from outside who's going to show us that all this information is completely illegal. That's what I believe. It's my opinion. I am too waiting for them to come and let me know. Mr. Lewis, you are 100% spot on accurate. But in the meantime, members, you need to be sitting back waiting while also preparing that in the event that they do not come in while we're getting closer and closer and closer to Memorial Day weekend, the General Assembly is coming up. And all you need to do is make a motion. And even if you don't make all those other motions, here's one more for you. Make a motion that they bring me inside so that I can complete the unfinished business of May 2023. Because in those minutes, that business was tabled and it still has not yet been concluded. So just make the motion to bring me back inside that General Assembly that Mr. Cunningham has done everything he could, including break his back, to make sure I don't come in there. Make that motion. Somebody second it. Make sure it goes to a vote and see if the members of the organization would like for me to come inside so that I can finish. Matter of fact, you don't even have to do that. The members don't need to take a vote because since it's inside the minutes as unfinished business, they don't have a choice but to bring me back so that they can finish the business that's in the General Assembly minutes. You don't even have to put it to a vote. All you got to do is request to hear the minutes of 2023. Even if you don't go back to 22 and listen, if you don't listen to 24, listen to the minutes of May 2023 and then make the motion. I would like to know what it is that Brother Lewis wanted to discuss that was unfinished. That's it. And we go from there. With that in mind, that's what I have tonight. There's no other comments. Everybody, thank you for your time. I thank you all, the individuals that did not understand, so that I can once again give clarity and even more detail about how Mr. Cunningham ascended to make his way to the chair without the knowledge of the people, without the consent of the people, without the wherewithal of the members of the organization, while they fixed the books, so to speak, while pushing him forward to make it look like all these men have been moved up the ladder by our Father because our Father has shown favoritism in these men. That's not what happened at all. So now you know, and we continue to wait. So absolutely, you all are welcome. And thank you again for your comments. Thank you again for your input. Thank you again for your participation and your patience while we continue waiting to see what outside is going to determine. I don't know how many days we have left before they run out of time to respond, or weeks, might be. Anyway, we're waiting. I encourage you all to wait with us, cause no issues, cause no problems. Just sit tight, sit back, watch, and let outside take its course while they prepare and review the information that they already have so that they can come to their conclusions and determine when they're going to be coming in. So with that said, thank you once again, everyone. You're welcome, B. Mevderman. I want you all to enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will look forward to seeing you all in the very next video. Absolutely, Black Diamonds. Thank you. I appreciate you all as well. Y'all take care. Have a great night.